All right, so the first question up this morning is regarding it's kind of like a bounce setup, kind of like a bounce off of a moving average kind of setup here. So I've got the simple rules right here on the notepad here. So the key is that we're looking for it looks like at least 2 bars, heading towards 2 bars heading towards the EMA, and the 2 bars have to be most important thing is that 2 bars have to be above the EMA 10, right? And then the third bar can sit anywhere along the EMA 10. So they can sit anywhere above or below the EMA 10 there. So, like in this example, so we have 3 down bars, and so the last 2 are above the EMA 10, and then our third, our reversal bar here, it did break that EMA, but that's okay. And so the signal that's wanted is on the reversal bar, like so. And let's say we have another example here. And so there's our reversal bar where the signal is wanted. And again, the key is that the 2 down bars have to be above that red EMA 10. All right. So, all right. Well, so let's get started here. So we'll open up BloodHound here. So I already have it on my chart. And let's put in today's workshop name. So you guys have noticed for any long-term workshop attendees, I've changed the name of the workshop files now. So now they're going to be prefaced with BH workshop, just to help delineate them from the Blackbird workshops. So let's see, today is the 13th. All right, so we have our BloodHound template named. So we'll just start working on the logic board here. And all right, so let's see. Not sure what to call this, so I'll just come up with a name here. So I'll just call it like a range bar bounce off the EMA 10, something like that. All right. Let's see. So, first thing that we're looking for, something really simple, is we're looking for 2 bars in the same direction. All right, so we're looking for 2 down bars to generate a long signal here. So I'm gonna grab a bar direction solver, like so. All right, and for the number of bars, we're looking for 2 bars, right? 2 bars in the same direction, like so. And my mode, I'm going to take my mode off for percent, right? You can see it kind of has percent is using like the fuzzy logic, kind of an output, an analog output. So let's switch it to all or nothing. It's a little cleaner that way. So we can see that on our second down bar, it's generating a short. However, ultimately we want to generate a long signal on that reversal bar. So I need to take this short output and reverse it or swap it. So I will use a long short modifier to do that, like so. All right, now if we look at it, so when we have two down bars, we are generating a long output. And if we notice, right, the long output is on the down bar, but what we want is we want a long signal on our reversal bar there. So we're going to take this long output and we need to shift it over one bar. Right, we want to shift it over one bar. And the way we can do that is in the bar direction solver. You see it has this start bars ago. It's kind of the same thing as a displacement. Functionally it's going to do the same thing. And if we set that to 1, right, so it's kind of like, yeah, so it is like setting a displacement. And so you can see now the long output is sitting on our reversal bar here. Right, so this long output here is being generated by our two down bars, right? So we've got a bar direction solver, and we're reversing the output with the long short modifier, right? We're using the swap mode, so we're swapping the output. And let's rename this here so we know what this solver's doing. It's swapping, right? So this long short modifier, it's swapping the output. And here is how we get the long output on this up bar. So, all right, so that's part of the condition there, right? Looking for at least two down bars. Now the other condition, the main condition, is that the open and the close of the two red bars have to be completely above the EMA 10, right? So we have to make sure that both of these bars are completely above that EMA 10. So to do that, let's grab a comparison solver here. All right, comparison solver. Now, to make sure that a bar is completely above or below a moving average, what are we looking at on the bar? Well, we just have to make sure that the low of the bar is above our moving average. And for the opposite condition, right, so if we're checking these two up bars, for maybe a bounce down, so like here, if we had one more up bar, we would get right, we'd get a short bounce off that EMA, but what we're checking for is to make sure that the high of the bar is below the EMA. Right? So for a long bounce, we want to make sure that the low of the bar is above the EMA, and for a short bounce, we want to make sure that the high of the bar is below the EMA. All right, so let's set this up. Let's start setting this up here. So for input A, that's going to be our price. And Vlad, I'm going to mute your microphone there, buddy. All right. So just a little mental note there, guys. When you jump into the GoToMeeting, I would appreciate if you just mute your microphones if you do have one on your computer. So GoToMeeting doesn't automatically mute your microphone. So, okay. Let's see, getting started here. All right, so input A, we're going to set this to price. And so price type long, right? So for when we're generating a long signal here, what we're looking for is the low of the bar. So for price type long, to generate a long signal, we're looking at the low price of the bar. So there, select that. And if we were generating a short signal, right, we would just use the opposite price, which would be the high of the bar. So for the price type short, let's set that to the high of the bar, like so. All right, now for input B, that's going to be our moving average here. So let's select the EMA. Let's put the EMA in here. There's our EMA. Let's change the period to a 10 period. Click OK. And so let's take a look at the chart here, right? So we can see now all of these bars that are completely above the EMA, we're getting a long output as expected. And now over here, all the bars below the EMA, we're getting a short output there. That's good. And so any bars that are kind of straddling that moving average, right, there's no output there. So the bar is kind of straddling that EMA. There's no output. All right, so that's good. So we got a long output on our 2 down bars when they're completely above the EMA, completely above our moving average. So before we get going too far, let's give this a name here. So let's see. So we either want the low or the high of the bar to be above or below the EMA 10. Give it some kind of generic name like that. So we didn't have to change our outputs here. All right, so let's keep in mind that quite often, you may have to change your outputs. So for the long output, instead of using the upper outputs, we might have had to have used the lower outputs, but not in this case. So, let's see here. All right, so now the next step is, let's see, there's a couple ways we can do this. But we're looking for at least, we're looking for these 2 bars, right? For the 2 down bars, we're looking for 2 bars in a row that are above our EMA, right? So our 2 down bars, so we got 2 down bars in a row that need to be above our EMA. So let's make sure that we have at least 2 bars in a row from this comparison solver. So we'll use the look back. So our look back can do that for us. So let's plug that in there. And we're not going to use a displacement yet. Actually, we will eventually, but I'm going to set that to 0 just to explain the point here. And then our look back is going to be 2 because we want to look for 2 bars in a row. And then we want a minimum of 2 bars in a row, like so. Now, if we look at this, right, here's the first bar that's completely above our EMA, and then here's the second bar completely above our EMA, right? So we're making sure that we get at least 2 bars before we get an output. So here's the first bar that's completely above the EMA, and then here's the second bar that's completely above the EMA. And then if we look at the next one, well, the previous 2 bars are above that EMA. So there we go. So when we get a long output, we know that there was at least 2 bars in a row that were completely above the EMA. And same for the shorts over here. If we take a look at the shorts, right? So there's the first bar that's completely below that EMA. And then on the second bar is now what's getting painted, right? So the second bar being completely below the EMA is now being identified, right? So it's identifying, and it's continuing to identify that we have at least 2 bars in a row below the EMA. All right, until we get a bar that finally, breaks that EMA there. So, all right. And let's see what next. Oh, okay, yeah. So the next step is again. Remember, we want our long signal on this reversal bar, right? So, identifying the bar as being above that EMA, right? The output is its back one bar. So again, we need to take this output and shift it forward to the next bar. So again, right, we need to take this long output and shift it forward onto the next bar. And so we can do that again with the look back, right? Again, I could have just left that displacement at 1. And there we go. And that shifts the output forward 1 bar. So now we have the long output from our 2 bars in a row being above the EMA is now shifted onto the actual reversal bar where we want to generate that long signal. So let's see. So we have most of the conditions met. So next step is we can grab an AND node, and we need to make sure that these 2 conditions occur together. So with the AND node, there we go. We're getting there. So we can see this one looks correct. But if we look over here, the short signal, we can see there's a problem. So this is not a down bar, right? This is an up bar. So we need to get rid of this signal here on this up bar. So we don't want to short if it's an up bar. So we need to get rid of that. And let's see. There's 2 ways we can do this. I think I'm going to approach it with a inflection solver. So there's 2 ways I could approach it. I could just grab another bar direction. Right, a bar direction solver would do it because if we look at this, right, if we look at the long output, that's an up bar. So a bar direction, identifying that that this has to be an up bar would work. And the bar direction I'd identify this as an up bar, so it would negate this short signal here. But if it was a down bar, it would work out. Or I could use a inflection solver. Let's see. I'm just trying to think if there's any advantage between the 2. Let's see. Well, let's just go the simple route here. Let's just grab a bar direction and go the simple route. Just like that. So there's the simple route with the bar direction. And so problem solved right there. And let's kind of scan through the chart and let's take a look at the signals here. So we're basically kind of proofing the system now by scanning through the chart. Let's see, 2 shorts right there. And yes, that looks correct. So we got 2 up bars and they're both below the EMA and a reversal bar. So that looks good. The important thing might be if we missed a signal here. All right, let's see. So that looks correct. Our 2 down bars are completely above our EMA. That worked out good. And that worked out Over here, we got 2 down bars, but the second down bar broke that EMA, so that disqualified it. And let's see, we had an up bar there that broke the EMA, so that disqualified this. Same over here, right? The last up bar broke that EMA, so it disqualified that. All right, there we go. Another valid long bounce there. And a good clean short bounce. Yep, both of those look correct. Both of those look good. Both those long signals. Well, all right. I think, yeah, I think this is all working out. Let's see, I'm at the end of my chart now. There we go. All right. So I think that does it. Let's go back here. All right. So we can just use a bar direction. So you know, let me just kind of expand upon what I was thinking about internally here, what I was considering to myself. So let me hold on a sec here. Oops. Let me. I need to find a doji. So we're excuse me. We're working with range bars. So with dojis, you know, dojis don't have a body, so they don't have a bar direction since there's no body. So that's kind of what I was thinking of. So if we look at this bar direction solver here, right, we can see all these the bar directions are identified except for the doji, right? Because the doji doesn't have a body to measure. So, you know, so if there's a doji, you know, that could be kind of the exception there. You know, like, let's see here. So let's just imagine this was a doji. You know, that this signal could have been missed if that was a doji there. So there is a workaround for that, pretty simple workaround that we could do. So I guess let's put both in there. So right, the bar direction is going to work, I'd say 99.9% of the time, you know, except for if this reversal bar becomes a doji. So what we could do is for range, now it's right, it's typically going to be range bars that have this bar direction, a bar direction omission or issue. So we can look for dojis using a comparison solver, right? So how do you determine the direction of a doji? Well, the close is going to equal the high, or the close is going to equal the low. Let's see if I can find another doji. There's not a lot, there's hardly any dojis on this 10 range chart. So let's see if I can find that doji again. There it is. Okay, so here's our one doji that we've found so far. So let's see. Let's give this a name here. And there's plenty of workshop videos that show how to put this solver together to find dojis on bar directions, but we'll do this one real quick. So we'll call this a doji direction. All right, so this comparison solver, essentially we're working with just price data here, right? So we're going to see we're going to see, does the close of the bar equal the low of the bar, or does the close of the bar equal the high of the bar? Right? So input A is going to be price, and input B is going to be price. And then for A, we're gonna see, does the closing price equal, okay, for an up doji, we're comparing the closing price to the high of the bar, and for a short it would be the low of the bar, like so. And we're using A equals B, right? We're checking to see, does the closing price equal the high or does it equal the low? So we need to use A equals B. So let's turn these outputs off, like so. And then we want to use A equals B, like so. So there we go. So now this doji is marked as a down bar. And of course we can see whenever there's an up bar, right? On range, the close of the bar on a range bar always equals the high or the low of the bar. Right? So there we go. So there's one way we could do this. We could use the bar direction, or we could use this doji direction. One or the other. Don't use both. Just use one or the other. There we go. Just tidy that up a little bit. Okay, I think that about does it. All right, guys. I don't see any other questions, so we'll wrap it up there. So if I don't see you in tomorrow's workshop, then have a great weekend, and hope to see you guys next week. Okay, bye-bye, guys.